عليك بطرق الهدى ولا يضرك قلة السالكين، وإياك وطرق الضلالة ولا تغتر بكثرة الهالكين.
طيب، السؤال الثاني. Some sisters and brothers have an attitude in our country that is brought over and borrowed from the street life, where they say that no matter what, they are going to speak their mind in any affair they find to be wrong, and this is from enjoining the good and forbidding the evil. They say in our culture, they don't hold water in their mouth, or they speak their mind, or they keep it real, quote unquote. Is this from Islam?
As far as the affair of speaking one's mind, then when it comes to enjoining the good and forbidding the evil, there are a number of principles that we must be acquainted with and aware of. And we must maintain. It isn't sufficient for us to just know of them, but we put them into practice. The scholars of the Sunnah, from them, the great Imam Ibn al-Qayyim, mentions that enjoining the good and forbidding the evil is of maratib, is of levels. That level number one is that a person enjoins the good with that which is better, or he prohibits the evil, enjoins the good, prohibits the evil, with that which is better than the evil that was present. And so if what he is about to bring and about to mention causes the disappearance of that evil, then it is prescribed for him to enjoin the good and to forbid the evil in relation to the affair. That is prescribed, because he's going to replace the evil or remove the evil and replace it with that which is better. Or secondly, that he is going to make a statement, or she is going to make a statement, and that statement is going to lessen the evil, even though it doesn't cause it to disappear in totality. Imam Ibn al-Qayyim, he mentions that in this case, similarly, enjoining the good is wajib, it is compulsory. And so you make that statement and repel and remove the evil. Thirdly, that as it relates to the affair of enjoining the good and forbidding the evil, that a person makes a statement and causes the evil to be replaced with evil that is like it. And this is what he refers to as mahallul ijtihad. This is where, or this is an affair that a person may have to come to, or to strive to decide whether or not it makes sense even to make a statement, if it overwhelms his suspicions that what is going to be replaced is going to be similar to it in terms of levels of evil. Thirdly, that a person makes a statement in the affairs of enjoying the good and forbidding the evil, and it causes an evil that is worse than it to be, or to take its place. In this case, enjoining the good and forbidding the evil is haram. Enjoining the good and forbidding the evil is haram. And so it isn't just a case of whatever we see, we speak about. Sometimes there are some affairs that are better not said. Similarly, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as occurs in an authentic hadith, he said, لا تتكلم بكلام تعتذر منه غدا. Don't speak using speech that will cause you تعتذر منه غدا, cause you to have to explain yourself tomorrow. Oh, I didn't mean this, or that wasn't what I meant when I said it, or actually I was only trying to say this. And you have to explain yourself tomorrow. And that is speech that is not qawlun fasl, it is not clear, definitive speech, but you yourself were not sure of what it was you were saying. That when you made that statement, you yourself were speaking ignorantly. You yourself did not consider the evil effects of what you were about to say. And this affair of enjoining the good and forbidding the evil, it requires and returns back to knowledge. And when one acquires knowledge of certain affairs, then that knowledge enlightens him or her in how to give da'wah, in what should be said, what actually is keeping it real, if we want to use that terminology and use those words. It may be, for example, that a person considers speaking one's mind and just being clear, speaking publicly about someone's sin. That is something that is warned against by the scholars. The sins are not exposed publicly, but many of those who claim, if I see an evil, then I just got to speak about it. And if I see something that I don't like, then I've just got to make it clear. And I just got to speak my mind and be real. Then many of those same people are the type of people who will expose people's sins, for example, publicly. And the exposure of the sin publicly has in it various evil. For example, as our scholars mention, the one who exposes the sin publicly, when he does so, he alienates and isolates the sinner. Now he feels ashamed to be in the presence of the believers because of this expose. Now, though that presence and that environment was and would have been better for him in terms of rectification, now he feels that he has been pushed away. She feels that she has been alienated. And so the one who does so drives that individual closer and nearer to the evildoers that they carried the sin out in the first place, because they now feel this is the only place and these are the only people that will accept me. Secondly, from the evils of making such statements publicly is that those who were secretly partaking in certain sins, they now feel comfortable that, alhamdulillah, there are many of us. I thought it was just me. Thirdly, those who speak and make manifest of those sins publicly, in relation to the one that is da'if and has weak character, weak shakhsiyah, or that the shaitan was trying to inspire him with carrying the sin out, now he or she is inspired. Now he or she will feel that, well, if such and such is doing it, then I thought I was bad thinking about it. And so there are various evils and there are various mafasid that are built upon making certain statements. All of these issues, it is imperative for the one who speaks that they speak with knowledge, and that is not just knowledge of what they're about to say. For example, that such and such a situation went like this and went like that, or that I feel that the intent behind this thing is this and that, but knowledge concerning what constitutes da'wah, how to give da'wah, when to speak, when not to speak. And as Sheikh bin Uthaymeen, he mentions, the affair of da'wah revolves around three main affairs, three main issues. Number one, that a person has knowledge of how to call. That is, how does one give da'wah? What are the principles of da'wah? That number two, that a person has knowledge of what he's calling to. And that is, of course, the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal, which is based upon that which is built upon adillah. وَمَعْرِفَةُ دِينِ الْإِسْلَامِ بِالْأَدِلَّةِ, knowledge of the religion of Islam with evidence. And number three, that a person is acquainted with the state of those who he calls. And being acquainted with the state of those who he calls differs from situation to situation. Sometimes we may be speaking to one individual, in which case that one individual, we look at their state and then we give them da'wah accordingly. Are they new? Are they old Muslims? Are they young? Are they elderly? We look at their state. What is their background? What did they previously believe in? Or it may be that our da'wah is now going to be given in the presence of a number of individuals. And so we observe the fact that we're speaking to a group or we're speaking to a crowd. And within that crowd, there are going to be different types of people who perhaps may not be able to manage and to digest correctly the statement that you're about to make. Just as when one of the trials and the fitan took place and occurred among the companions, and Muawiyah radiallahu anhu, he made a statement prior to becoming the Khalifa, and Abdullah ibn Umar, he wanted to speak against the statement, and so he said, so when I thought about what I was going to say, I decided that I would, when they asked me to speak, I decided to speak concerning and to mention what Allah has prepared for the believers in Jannah, rather than fuel the flames of fitna, yani that he considered those who were present. Similarly, Umar radiallahu anhu, on an occasion during Hajj, when he wished to make inkar of a particular situation, some of those who were people of knowledge approached him and said, don't say it here, because indeed among these individuals are the rabble and are ignorant ones who won't understand what you're saying. And so Umar radiallahu anhu, he deferred making the statement until he returned back to Medina, where people of knowledge and understanding were. And so he would make that statement in front of people who will be able to digest it and take it on board properly. And so our making statements is not just about our being, just making off-the-cuff statements and speaking our mind, quote unquote. Rather, it must return back to us being shepherds. The da'i, the caller, the one who enjoins the good and forbids the evil, is a shepherd. He should consider himself or herself as such. And the shepherd is the one who is mindful over the flock and does not say except that which has in it benefit, and refrains from making rash statements that do not have the correct wisdom and consideration of those who are present of what is about to be said, since not every truth should be uttered. There is, as our scholars mention, the origin is not every haqq, not everything that is true should be said. Some truths, if they are said in the presence of some people who will not understand them correctly, then you are going to be a cause of fitna for them. And that occurs in that authentic statement, that indeed one of you does not make a statement, does not utter a statement that some of the people do not understand, or some of the people do not have the capacity to understand, إِلَّا كَانَ لِبَعْضِهِمْ fitna, except that it will be a fitna for some of them. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam.